back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
We're laughing about toes, right? I've had a long toe week, let me tell you. But we're back with you guys, and we're ready to do our crafts. I think Beth is going to go first today.
Yes, I'm going to go first. I'm sitting behind this little box that says, "Into the woods." There's a little cabin and a deer and some mountainous scene. I found it at Hobby Lobby, and since Eve and I are doing cross-stitch camp, I thought it was just too cute to
that's
pass
adorable.
by. Yeah, it's really cute. So since we are doing cross-stitch camp, some of you are probably doing that, but Sherry Truax Berger, who organized, whose idea this is, she is doing some giveaways as part of the thing, and so she asked for anybody who wanted to donate items. I think I talked about this last week.
Yeah, we talked about it.
So we had sent some things in, and I just wanted to show we have some. Also, so yeah, you can order them if you want, if you're not part of the giveaway or whatever. So we have this little.
We took a picture of that one last week.
Yeah,
it's got mountains and campers and
and has a little fire. What do you call it?
Campfire.
Campfire. And I just mentioned this. I did it in my update today, and I struggle with that word. It's like it's not a fireplace. Yeah, campfire. So there's this
cute
bag. So this is one of the ones that we had for the giveaway, but we also have one.
So what you're saying is
you
sent one for the giveaway, but we have some in our
So this is the
Etsy
notions
shop.
pouch, and there's
so
I didn't pull them off, but there's
needle minders,
a couple of needle minders with that fabric. Yeah, just campers. And then we also have
that is so cute.
This
I love that one. I almost stole
bag.
one for myself.
It has a deer and bear and eagles, and it says Big Bear Lake.
I think that would go with my
campsites.
Arizona fly shop, my fly fishing shirt.
Well, and one of the scissor fobs that Beth made has a little canoe, and I think it would go great with this one.
Yeah,
so cute.
So there's these project bags, and these are they're big. They're like they're like
nice
14 by 15. You can put an 11 by 11 Q snap in there.
I have a it's a paper keeper. You buy for 11 by 17.
And the yellow.
I mean, for 8.5 by 11 paper.
And a little camper.
I could stick that whole thing in there
on the zipper.
Yeah,
and it has that yellow.
No. No.
So there's
the cobbler's son has no shoes.
there's little notions pouches to go with it.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
I still don't have one of you guys' notions pouches.
Oh, I have one for you. I do. I have one for you.
And then this one is just
it's the start of the
love that.
the bag. I haven't made the bag yet.
But there's
the
notion pouch.
purple.
This
It's
is
the next one I'm gonna
Yeah.
put together, but I had to stop because I was doing something else.
So anyway, that's just an extra.
So those are extras.
But
That's
so
pretty. The
then-
bag's following soon, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you see a pair of gray scissors over there?
A pair of gray scissors. Yes, I do.
But then also,
Thank you.
so I have these scissor fobs. This is like the one that we sent to Sherry. This is
We took a
little
picture of that
tin.
last week with the
Yeah.
tin.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
we took
take
a
pictures
picture
of all
of
these.
We
and
took a
put 'em
picture
up.
of those last week. But
Yeah.
And there's the little canoe,
which would go great with
and
that.
there's a camper.
Now you guys need to make me fly fishing stuff. I went to fly fishing class. I'll tell
Well,
you about it later.
if you tie a fly to put on there, I'll put it on the end of the scissor.
All right. That's a good idea.
And then this is just
And the hook will get stuck in everything. I'll make a fake one out of paper clips.
Sorry about the crinkling, guys.
Just do
It's
your
over
crinkle.
here.
Just do it.
do it.
Oh, you did
Rip it off like a Band-Aid. But then we've had these in the Etsy shop before. These little llama scissor
So
fobs.
adorable.
So
There, now back in.
yeah. So there's I made 3 more. So yeah. So get them while they're hot.
Get them while you can. They
And
always
then-
sell out pretty fast.
And then I made some more needle minders that they're not all, I think I don't remember if anyway, they're on the Etsy site. So,
some
you
of
can
them.
go, you can go and look at I have some new ones.
I was putting a lot of stuff up on the Etsy site, but I had to stop because it's boring.
Because our attention span is long. Got a short little attention span. Oh, my nights are so long.
No, I don't have a lot. I have a pretty good attention span as long as it's not boring.
So what are you?
I don't
working
see
on,
you
Beth?
putting any of that computer stuff up.
True.
So I've been working on for my cross stitch camp project for June. I've been working on the
Black Archangels.
Black
yeah.
Archangels.
Did you finish?
And yeah, so last Saturday, I don't remember if I
You were
finished
about
it.
to finish it. You said,
Yeah.
"I think I'm going to finish it
Yeah.
in the next couple of days
So
or something."
so that was this one, the Peace Angel. So I did finish it. And then since it was only the first week of June, I went
Cheated.
ahead and did this one. And so this is Angel playing a trumpet. And it's only the 12th of June, so I have time to do another one.
Well, see, you're going to get
So-
all your Black Archangels.
Yeah.
done.
So I just have this the one, there's an angel with a candle, and that's the last one of this set.
Nice.
And then I think if I will still have time if I get it all done. The thing that's easy about them is that they're small, and they're just basically two colors. They're black and gold.
yeah.
And so the hardest part is the little crosshatch stuff of the wings, because it's diagonal and over two on this fabric, and so that like you have to kind of keep your brains awake and going. And actually, I went to take a picture of this, and I thought, oh yeah, I'm all done, because I did the trumpet and everything, and I forgot to do her belt. So I was like, I took a picture. I'm like, oh wait, that's not done yet. So there was like this gap, and then so I had to stitch the belt
Got
real
all
quick.
excited.
Yeah.
Well, Sherry said that she took something to the framer. She thought it was done, and one of her people
I
had
saw
commented that it wasn't done, and I was like, man,
Yeah.
Oh, man.
can you imagine getting it back from the framer going, oh my God, it would have been awful if she hadn't been able to catch it in time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
So so if I have time to do it, I'm gonna do that little mini card with that last
Black Archangel that you found.
that I found.
That's neat.
But so since I have a little time, sorry,
You almost knocked your picture over.
I'm gonna work on this other one just because this is Spring Scamper.
Cute.
I love the color that came out.
That this light, there's a kind of you can probably see it. This green.
Little yellow and
First I was like,
greenish
I thought my
tan-
eyes were going
tealish
wonky or
and-
something.
Yeah.
That's neat.
So yeah, this
It's
is
like
the
lemon,
Spring
like a
Scamper.
limey green right here. That's neat. Did you
Yeah.
dye that yourself?
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, I used this was that aquamarine, I think. Rip dye and a little splash of yellow.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So that's this Spring Scamper design, and I'm working on this little bunny on the carrot mobile.
So I got a message today from Hannah, my daughter in
Mm-hmm.
Boston. She says, I think I want to cross stitch. I said, I can arrange that. Or you can go buy a kit if you want to do it today.
Yeah.
So I'll have to ask her kind of what she wants.
I'll send her a kit.
Yeah, we can kit her up.
Yeah.
So I was like, uh-huh.
Because she
Yeah,
already
big by
knows
the book.
how.
Oh, she knows how.
Yeah, she already knows how, so just sending her a kit that's not overwhelming, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have a lot of time.
Well, but I thought that would be nice. She could take it to Connecticut with her for her music thing and have something to do at night. Especially at the beginning, she's going to be quarantined. So, for a few days, she won't.
She won't be able to go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah. So that'd be nice for
I
her
was
to take.
thinking, I saw a sign somewhere, and I thought she needs a musician's version of it, but it said something like, eat, sleep, something, repeat.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, eat, sleep, practice, repeat.
Or violin or something.
Yeah.
I've seen one of those with, cross stitch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't say cross stitch, it just says stitch, which
Well-
would work for sewing.
I'm going to go next.
Mhm.
So, because you have a lot to talk about, I think, Eve, or what you're doing there.
Okay.
Okay, we're back. We
Sorry.
had to take a small break. But so I was going to talk next because
Yeah.
Eve has a
Yeah.
giant pile. So I had a finish this week. Hannah went back to Boston on Tuesday last, and on Monday I finished that top I was making her. And I'm going to insert pictures here. I have pictures of the front and then the back. I made it exactly the same with the little, you'll see the little flowers or the suns. I put them in the same place so that you can wear it either way.
Okay.
We're having some, you won't know because I'm going to seamlessly put these together, but I was having some problems. Anyway, so on Hannah's top, I made it reversible so she can wear it and the little suns will show up right here on the front left. And then I'll insert some pictures of her with it on. She was very happy. I think it came out really neat. The seaming between the squares was really nice. When I outlined it, I did just a single crochet around the outside, but I tried to do every single stitch doing a single crochet, and it actually made the edges of the square grow. So I ripped it out and I did every other stitch. So it actually pulls the edges in just a little and gives it a nice curve, like on the armholes. It gives it a really nice little curve and kind of tightens it up, and on the bottom too. So I think it came out really great. So I'm thinking of putting out a pattern. So it would, it's pretty simple. And I was trying to think about sizing because I think basically you just make it longer by making more rows. And then I think you could make it wider by adding a column of squares down the sides here. You know, if you put, because right now it's the front, it's got 2 under the arm, so you could put 3 under the arm to make it, you know, to size it. And then just kind of add how it works for your body. So if you all are interested in that, I would be happy to put that out. I'd have to write it out, and which leads me to another bit of news. It's crochet, but I'm talking about knitting. I finally made the decision, I think I talked about it some time ago, about doing the tech editing certificate with the Knitting Guild Association. And what that would do is it's an 18-month program. They give you 18 months to do it. You can do it shorter if you want, but it's pretty involved. But it's learning to edit knitting patterns and making them, so a designer would send that and we would put it into a certain style so that it can, so you know how all your knitting patterns, like if you buy a book, they're all the same, right? And they all have the same terminology and the same sort of format and everything like that. So it's a certification program to learn to do that, and then you can request those jobs. Something I could do from home, and apparently these pattern companies will call the Knitting Guild Association and say, do you have new graduates? We're looking for someone XYZ, and you're also listed on their website, so they can just contact you and say. So I'm like, because these guys are giving me some trouble. I have carpal tunnel, and I'm hoping to getting surgery for that, but I also just have such joint problems, and I think it might be the Graves' disease, and my thyroid and everything. So I don't know how much longer I would be able to really seriously knit, and I certainly couldn't do the commercial knitter, which I really kind of wanted to. Someone who would knit models for magazines and stuff. There's no way I could do that. So I decided this would be a way to make some money in the art that I love, and not have to actually knit. I might have to knit little pieces, but it wouldn't be such a time crunch of something like, you know, a professional knitter. So anyway, so I'm thinking about putting that pattern out, but I'm going to have to write it. Oh, she's having a problem. I'm going to have to write it out, and I'm going to make Eve make a square to make sure that it makes sense. But I really, because I did modify it from that free pattern that we got, really my squares are nothing like that pattern anymore. So, and it didn't say anything about putting it together, and it didn't say anything about edging it. So I feel confident that it's my pattern, you know. So, so after I finished that, I got inspired to finish things, and I decided to work on those 2 little kids' sweaters. I did work on Rachel's shawl, and I sent her pictures so I could prove it. So I'm like, I'm working on your shawl. But so first, I worked on yesterday. I worked on this little sweater, as I call it, in Oliver green, for my little friend
cute.
Oliver. Here's the little. I don't know if you can see. It's a cardigan, so it'll sit like that, and it's the beginnings of the. Let's see if you can see. There they are. The 2 increases here. It's for the sleeve. This is the front, and then this is the back. Another sleeve and another front, and then soon I'll separate the sleeves like I did in the other one, and just keep working on it. My problem is, because it's a cardigan, if it was a sweater in the round, which maybe I should have done instead, but I really love this Gramps pattern. But here comes Dad. So this is, since it's a cardigan, in order to do the
Here.
You all right? In order to make a cardigan, right, in stockinette, you have to do knit 1 round and then purl back. And so it's the purl rounds. I mean, everybody hates purling. I think I have a pretty fast purl, but still, on the
hate purling.
On the way back, I'm like, oh. But I really forced myself to work on this all day yesterday, because when I picked it up, it was only like this much, and I really worked on it and tried to get a significant amount done. And that was yesterday. And this yarn is so cute. It is from Hobby Lobby, Yarn Bee Rustic Romantic, and this is the gray that will be the contrast for the collar and the elbow patches. It's so cute. But it's got this, I don't know if you can see, it's got flecks in it, kind of like not like a tweed, I guess is what you would call it. Little flecks of white. So it gives it kind of, like a rustic look to it. And it's just an acrylic yarn. So it'll be easy care for the kids. And so I worked on that yesterday. And I just decided I'm going to alternate them so I don't get bored, and try to get them finished soon and sent off. And then today I'm working back. I don't want to lose any stitches. I'm working back on this little cardigan, the rainbow one. So I've gotten some more, a few inches done further than probably the last time you saw it. And this same thing, knit 1 way, purl back. But little bit of interest. It's got what's called a button band here on the front. It's like a tiny rib, so that makes it look like a sewn-on button band. And it's just a little swing cardigan, so it's not going to have buttons. But I may actually add like a loop and a button at the top. And then the other part of interest is under the arms. She created this faux seam. So when it's done, it's going to look like there's a seam right here, like I sewed the front and back together. And then I've shown you the fake set-in sleeve, so it looks like you sewed the sleeve in here too. So it keeps it interesting when I hit those, like, oh, I get to do something different than the sea of stockinette. But I just love this yarn. I just love it. I think it's so beautiful. So anyway, I decided to alternate these every day and see how. Since they're both little kid sweaters, it shouldn't take me too long. Right? Say right.
Right.
So that's me.
Okay, so
This is why I don't knit.
Why?
why?
Things so
That takes a
complicated.
long time.
Yeah, cross stitch takes
Just
a long
making
time.
little X's.
Well, this is just, look. I just do that
It's just making little
and
loops.
that.
I know.
I'm just tangling up this yarn in an organized way. That's all.
So I'll show you what I'm working on here in just a second. But I had did an FFO.
That is adorable.
This
That's
is
what I
my
need to do. I have a whole bunch of finished things. Most of them are just finished for me, you know, just my own finishes.
this is for me.
But
That is
like
such a cute idea.
except for the owl for Rachel. I was like, I promise. It's
Rachel's gonna cancel. She's gonna cancel her subscription to our channel. You don't get that thing done. Never mind all the things I have to do for Rachel.
Welcome to the new subscribers.
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you very much for subscribing. Tell your
Yes.
friends.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is adorable, Eve.
Yeah, so this was a cigar box that I bought at Joann's, I think. And when I painted it today, I accidentally got paint on the hardware, but it's just for me, so I don't care. I had originally made this padded thing in here to go under this. And while I was checking it out, the sizes and seeing how I liked it and all that, I went, that's too fat on top, you know, too extended. And I put the candy hearts, we'll take a picture of it so you can see it, because I don't know that you can see it from here. There's a ribbon with little candy hearts all around. And originally I wasn't going to put it all the way around. But I decided to, and on top of this hearts that I showed you in here, and the box just closed again. On top of those hearts, with the candy heart ribbon, it was just too busy.
Too much.
Yeah. So, so I decided to put it inside, even though it was too small. I added some ribbon around it. Not well, but I did it.
What are you gonna use it for?
You know what? I think I might use it for like notions and stuff.
Yeah.
For like little things that I have to keep track of. You know,
Needle cases and scissors and
yeah. Not the ones that I have in my bags, but like the extra ones that I have around. You know, I have a pair of little scissors here for doing
but like extras
paper
or,
flowers
yeah.
and stuff.
That's really neat.
And right now they're over there. I just don't know where. I can't find them. Which is why I needed the gray scissors that were over there. I have a lot of scissors. Not just little scissors like Beth.
Beth does?
No.
Okay.
But
She's the winner.
not. But see, I have two sewing scissors in my sewing box thing, and then I have a pair of scissors that's just for cutting out for the crepe paper flowers, and then I have another pair. This pair of scissors, which are general craft scissors, so I'll cut anything with this, and then I have you know, just regular craft scissors around the house everywhere, and then I have embroidery scissors.
Well, yeah. So that could be your scissor box, or that's
But,
cute.
yeah,
Though.
so-
There are lots of things.
Stuff like that. You know, I have plenty of jewelry boxes, but I don't have any jewelry, so. And I had purchased
Speaking of
this.
scissors for everything, I always interrupt you. So today I was sitting at my table in my dream box in Hannah's room because I took her room back. Now she left. I'm like, get out. No, anyway, so I was sitting there, and Eli comes to me. I think he's wanting to put on a shirt or something, and it has a plastic tag. I didn't see what it was at first. He goes, Mom, do you have a pair of scissors in here? I'm like, yeah, of course I have scissors. I said, for what? For a thread? And he showed it to me. I'm like, no, not for plastic. Go ask your dad.
Yeah, you know,
Get outta here.
and a lot of times people don't understand when those of us that have specialty scissors, like there's a reason why I have a rotary cutter that I cut most of the stuff with, but I still have regular scissors, and don't you dare use those for anything else. And I have two, because I keep one at the ironing board and one over here.
Yeah.
You know, and
I have this pair of scissors. Oh, it's got a serrated edge. So slippery fabrics don't slip out of it. So it grabs the fabric, and it's so sharp. Oh, I love those scissors.
yeah,
Don't
and scissors
touch
are.
them. No one's
I
allowed
don't
to
have-
touch them ever.
I don't, other than the rotary cutter, which isn't horrendously expensive, but I don't have expensive scissors. And that's a habit I had from my son being, when he was young, he would just grab any pair of scissors, It was just too expensive
my
to keep
kids
replacing
learned to
them.
draw back a bloody stump.
But
To grab my scissors.
I digress. So I have this heart trim. I got it from Rose Mill. If you guys like it, you can. It's literally Rose Mill. You can find it on the internet. They have fabulous stuff. But I got it from Rose Mill. That's where I got those little ribbon ladybugs that were on the other thing. And I had, sorry.
Just move the table.
I just moved the whole table. I had thought about putting it here, but that's too busy. And then my sister and I were thinking maybe down here, I could put it all the way around, you know.
I have a vote.
But, you know.
I have a vote about that.
But I think maybe it should be like this.
Yeah, because if you want to actually use it, that trim I think would be.
It's
in
very
the way.
delicate trim. It's
Yeah.
like a satiny finish.
I think it would be in the way. Maybe inside the box in the lid. Maybe if you wanted to do something else. But
Nah.
I think
the inside of the
really,
box, I
when
just
I
wanna,
first saw that as is, I was like, That's perfect.
I'm really happy with the way it came out. And there's teal rickrack right here.
yeah, I think that's perfect.
I was going to put pink. And Hobby Lobby, you know, they have their fabrics on sale one week and then their ribbons on sale the next week. And they just go back and forth. And I knew this was a ribbon week. And so I found this teal, was it last week that I found it? 2 weeks ago? I don't know. Teal rickrack. Maybe it was 2 weeks ago. And I love teal. Wearing a teal shirt. So I think that was a better choice for me than pink. Pink would have been fine, but you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect as is.
Yeah, so anyway, that's my FFO, and I'll find another project for this, I'm sure. And the other thing that I'm doing, I think we had mentioned a while back that my grandmother made these little booties.
Yeah, we mentioned, I think when we were at my house.
When we were at your house. It was a long time ago. So those of you that are newer, you probably have never seen them. But
if you look back in our former episodes, there's one, I think the thumbnail is us sitting in front of a big white box, or big white shelving is what it would look like. So that's the episode where we first talked about those.
yeah. So,
There's two kinds, right?
well,
Aren't those
no,
different?
they're the same. They're, yeah,
Different colors.
they're different
They
colors.
just didn't finish. She didn't finish the ribbon on that one or something.
Maybe she ran out of ribbon. I don't know. My grandmother, I meant to bring the frame booty I have. It's not there anymore. It's in my room. But
She crocheted.
she crocheted
all the time.
always. She always had a crochet needle and yarn in her hands. She was 99 when she died. And
Yeah,
she crocheted up until like the last week or two
So
of
she
her
went
life.
to the hospital, I think.
Yeah.
Even if she couldn't see really anymore. And
She
would
did
do
it by feel. Yeah, and but she made tons of doilies and boots, little
There's
booties
that one
and
picture
blankets.
of her that we have. I think it's on the fridge.
It's
there.
on the fridge with
That-
her
of her-
crocheting a blanket. Yeah.
mhm.
And so we found these. Where did you find them? Mom's room?
I found them. No, so when Mom and Dad moved here, Mom had tons of crochet stuff. That's some of the stuff I took home the other day, and we went through it here on the floor, and I found those. And I also have several of her doilies. I have a beautiful runner that's on my telephone table, my old telephone table, that I would love to duplicate someday.
And she
And
made
so
up
we-
a lot of patterns.
Yeah, so we found those, I believe, in that crochet stuff, and I thought there was a matching pair. I thought that pink one had a pair to it,
You
but
only gave me one of each.
I those were the two that I have them displayed in my box at home. But so
And her cats kept stealing them.
yeah, my kitty cat loves that pink, the light pink one.
Because that's the one that looks better. He doesn't want this one because it's not finished.
He is so funny.
So,
He's so picky.
and this one isn't made as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this one she probably made later in life. But it's got a little rose right here on top. This one doesn't have the ribbon that goes through here, but it has the openings for a ribbon to go through, and then the ribbon that goes around. We'll take a picture so you can see what I'm talking about. The ribbon that goes around the side. I love the pattern.
Yeah.
So neat.
It's
You know
very.
what it reminds me of is, remember people used to do that with gum wrappers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
those
it.
gum wrapper chains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
So
That's
I'm
beautiful.
recreating this pattern because I don't think it should be lost to the
No.
world.
No.
And I have this really pretty little scallop.
Edge.
And I learned to crochet from my grandmother.
Yeah.
And but I haven't used this in ages. That's why I'm constantly having this problem. I go to do the double crochet and it just falls off the needle before I can get because it's a little tiny itty bitty tiny hook.
So you learned to crochet from her, and you taught me to crochet, and then I crocheted forever, and you kind of
I
have
stopped.
Yeah.
Because I find my skin gets very easily irritated, and I find that if I have a whole lot of yarn on my lap, because you end up having a whole lot of yarn on your lap, that I just get really uncomfortable. But this thread should be fine, even though it's supposed to be 117 this
I
coming
saw
week.
18 on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be
118.
close to 120 here in Phoenix, and this is June. Usually we get those high temperatures first week of July
Yeah.
through the end of July. It starts to cool off. I certainly hope this means we're going to get cloudbursts sooner.
Yeah, I hope it means we're going to get monsoon faster.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so I'm going to be struggling through this. I'm writing it down, whatever I'm doing.
yeah.
And I can, switch it up.
So our goal is ultimately to put this pattern out
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's beautiful. Let me see it, the little pink one.
Anyway,
They're both pink.
The light pink.
this
This is so beautiful. We'll take a good up close picture.
the
And
other
I feel like
one.
I feel like we should take it apart and block it again.
I'm going to make another one without a little rose.
Yeah.
So not quite pink, not quite blue.
That's nice. I haven't done thread crochet. Well, the top I did of Hannah's is as close to thread crochet as I've been in a while, but I have made some dang beautiful doilies in my life.
And I know there's lots of patterns to show you how to do a rose for crochet, especially for doilies and stuff like that. But I want to do it however she did it, which may or may not be the same way.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if she started the top of the booty here.
No, I think because of the way this looks.
No.
started down
I'm saying
here.
she started the bottom. The
No,
bottom
she just
is
kept
one
going. It's not pieced.
Yeah,
It's not pieced at all. She just kept going up.
that's cool.
So
Good luck with that.
well, there's
I've
no
looked at them 1,000 times, and I'm like, we need to recreate this. And by we, I meant you.
there's no emergency on this.
Mm-mm.
I can work on it whenever.
When you get bored with everything else.
And I thought, I'm going to have time tonight. I'll just
Yeah.
start it. I bought the threads. I bought the crochet hooks. I have somewhere a whole little folder of this little crochet hooks and a whole bunch of others in a zipped up folder. And God only knows where it is. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is I went ahead, even though I'm doing cross stitch camp and I have a project already picked for that. I've done tidy modernist before, so I can't do that. And I want to try to finish that like I'm working on whale and light bulb. Whale and light bulb I'm doing pretty good progress on.
It's so cute. I'm watching your Instagram.
I'm about 65% done.
If you click below this in the description, we have a link tree. If you click on the link tree, you can get to, well, no. We can't link an Instagram there. I forgot.
My Instagram, I've changed the name. It's Everyday Artist Eve, all one word. So
Everyday Artist Eve.
because I wanted it to match my YouTube channel. But you can. But I also posted on Facebook. I post this progress on Facebook in Cross Stitch Camp in Stitching with the Housewives usually, but always in embroidery.com.
Yeah. So you have to be a member of those groups to see it.
But you can go on Instagram and look for Everyday
Well,
Artist
sometimes I
Eve
post it just in the main feed, but usually not.
And I have 2 Instagrams, and I was gonna make Crafty Nomi.
Who has the stitching? Oh, it has the 3 sisters.
I have 3 sisters. I run that, which I need to be more active. I'm sorry. And then I have 2 personal ones, and one I wanted to be just my knitting, but then I have more followers than my regular one. So I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
So,
I didn't interrupt you.
No, it's okay. So
I'm just saying they can look at your progress on Instagram if you're posting.
So the well, if you look for the hashtag Cross Stitch Camp, you'll see it there. So this is the 2021 Halloween Stitch Along, which starts on July 1st by Tiny Modernist. And even though I have a project for Jolly July, I have the Cross Stitch Camp project, and I don't have enough time to do all the stitching, the sewing, and the Etsy shop updates, I of course joined the SAL.
And SAL stands for Stitch Along.
Yeah, so I will not be doing all of July's during July. It's just not going to happen. But in August, my Cross Stitch Camp project is much smaller, and so I can try to catch up then. And it just, what sold me on this, because I don't have time for stitch alongs, but what sold me on this was this little skeleton. He's so cute.
You sucker.
He's so cute.
Sucker.
I have 3 stitch alongs, I think. I have the Daily Walk in the Woods, which I never finished. And I think it's at least 2 or 3 years old. And I worked on it as part of my Mania rotation. I only did 1 day though, because I did 1 day on each one because I had 21 whips. But so I have that one, and then I have
stitch alongs and knit alongs are so hard.
I have the one for 2 from Tiny Modernist. One is a Sleepy Hollow Halloween one, also.
So what, you don't know what, obviously because it's a mystery, you don't know exactly what that's going to look like?
No, I mean, you have this blurred out kind of idea of kind of sort of what it, and I wanted to do in May, the Sal that Fat Quarter Shop was doing with I love ocean stuff. I don't have a lot of it, but I love it. I love looking at it. I lived in Florida for a couple of years, and I love the Miami look. I didn't live in Miami, but I lived near where the space shuttle goes up, and I was living there when the first one went up after the Challenger disaster, and the town was electrified. It was so awesome the way the town was when they knew the shuttle was going back up. And there's nothing like watching that thing go up. I think you were at my house once when one went up at night, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was across the river from where it went up, and the whole ground vibrates, the windows shake, and it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. And so I like space stuff too. So but I love the ocean, love looking at. So I wanted to do that.
What was it?
It was a lighthouse and
it was a cross stitch.
Cross stitch.
Oh, you said Fat Quarter Shop, so I thought it was
No, Fat Quarter Shop sells
Sewing
cross
stuff.
stitch stuff too.
Oh, okay.
So, as a matter of fact, that's where I got the
Oh,
farm fresh eggs. So most of you probably know that the housewives put out farm fresh eggs a while back.
Stitching with the Housewives.
Yeah, sorry, Stitching with a Housewife. And what you don't know is that my sister, well, maybe she has mentioned it.
I mentioned
picks
every
up-
week I go to get eggs.
Yeah, she goes to get eggs from a farm, and
Every Friday.
yeah. And when I very first saw this, the farm fresh eggs pattern.
So cute.
When I very first saw it, I thought of her immediately, because she often gives us eggs, and the chickens. She's taken pictures of the chickens; they're so cute.
I will post a picture of the chickens from last December. I went to get them, and they happened to be in the front area of the farm, and I walked to the fence. And I started talking to them, and they came running. They were so beautiful.
So I thought of her immediately, but I thought I have too much on my plate, and I have a whole bunch of their patterns that I haven't even started, and so then the other day, maybe 2 weeks ago, I showed it to Naomi, and she she immediately fell in love with it, and she wants to make it for.
For Sonia. Yeah, where I get my eggs from.
Yeah.
That'd be fun to just leave it in the cooler or in the where we put the money.
Yeah.
Leave it in there.
So, and I think it would look really cute in one
On
of
an
these.
egg carton. No, just kidding.
In one of these.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because, it's a crate that you could carry stuff in.
Cute.
By the way, that little crate, I've showed them on my, on my own channel, but
That's the one from
There's-
the Dollar Tree?
the dollar store.
It's
This
cute.
one from the dollar store. This one. They have a
little
fabulous. They have a fabulous craft area.
Oh, wow. That's
Get
good.
these beautiful.
Oh, that's cute.
Oops! It's a.
Blackboard.
And they're $1.
Whoops! I dropped my fish.
Those are adorable.
I think they're the perfect size for the housewife, Stitching with the Housewives patterns, the tidbits and all that.
Yeah?
I'm getting the fish. I got these little fish there.
Aw.
Uh,
I love fish. Fishing. Fish.
I don't need a unicorn, but I got one. I don't know why. I don't know any
Everyone
girls
needs a
that like.
unicorn. Come on, come on.
And does this look like my dog or not? Look at that. Not really. She's
If it
not a
had
little
round-
bully.
If it had a pointy nose.
A little pointy nose. Yeah.
It's got
But-
the big ears.
Yeah.
That's cute.
And more. I got like light up anchor, a
So
light
you
up
went to the
lighthouse.
dollar store and you spent $100.
I didn't do it all at once.
Those are cute.
But at the dollar store, and they had
They have
this
a pretty,
Elmer's sprayed glue.
Ooh.
Yeah, they have a pretty good little craft section there.
Yeah, yeah. And from what the lady that we were talking to, it sounded like they were trying to put them in on all the dollar stores.
Oh, wow.
And
Is
they
that a
have
Dollar
tacky
Tree
glue.
or Dollar Store?
They have the little bottles of tacky glue for $1,
Oh, wow.
and they have.
That's all you need. You know why? Because they
It
dry
dries
up.
It dries up right away.
So you use a little one and then get another little one.
Yeah. And they have those tin.
Do they have yarn?
No.
Good.
They have those tin.
They should not sell yarn.
Is it tin?
Galvanized
metal shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Really nice shapes. They have one that's like a quotation mark, and they have
You mean a question mark?
no quotation mark.
Like a pop balloon kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
And just awesome stuff,
And they even have they also have like little arrows, like you see in a one-way sign or whatever,
Uh-huh.
but like with a a hanger rope on it, so
Yeah.
you could easily for cross stitch finishing, you could hang attach something on there or whatever. but they have like galvanized metal.
They have one that looks like a mason jar.
Quote
If
thing
anybody
is-
was
yeah.
doing the stitching with a housewife's mason jar, it
Yeah.
would look really cute on that.
Yeah, and they're pretty good size for for finishing on, but just
Especially
like
for $1. I mean, I'm like,
so there's just a lot
and
of stuff to choose from.
and that dollar store where I got them is right next to Joann's.
Yeah.
Oh no. That's a
So
bad combo.
I go to Joann's, I spend $60 and then walk over to the dollar store and spend a lot of money. And but I bought a clear glue there. I haven't used it yet because the first time it disappeared out of my bag, and I went back and got it the other day. And the beads that I talked about last week, my store ordered them to come from a different store, and I got them a couple of days ago. I haven't unwrapped them yet because I wanted to show on my video. They're completely wrapped. I mean, like tightly wrapped
What are
in
they?
bubble wrap. They're
Oh,
those-
the beads.
Yeah, the dog balloon.
The beads
the
that
dog.
broke.
Yeah,
Yeah, she goes, look at how they sent them this time, and they were completely encased.
yeah. It's very.
Like, they
It's,
probably you better send that grumpy woman some good bubble wrap. I don't want her to call us again.
but see, it was a store transfer to transfer.
Yeah.
And I had to go pick them up at the store, which I was happy to do, But and they couldn't have been nicer at my Joann's. I mean, who knows what one store person told another store person? I don't care because I didn't hear it. I hate it when you go in a store and you hear them talking about customers, whether it's me or somebody else. You know what? You wait until customers are not around you if you want to gossip about customers.
Yeah.
Because you don't know who you're hearing.
I was at a
Who's
doctor's
gonna hear you?
office and I heard this one guy talking on the phone, kind of arguing with a woman, and then I don't know if he put her on hold or she hung up, but he said some bad things. He was like, well, I guess she was very rude, but then he's like, I mean, look at her. What did he say? Something like, she looks like Jabba the Hutt.
No.
And something about like I think it was something about how she something had been canceled and she didn't think it was canceled, something misunderstanding, but she was like kind of yelling at them, but he was really kind of insulting. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, there are people in your waiting room.
Well, that's like when I lived in Little Rock, there was a Wendy's that it was close to where our offices used to be, so I would go there for lunch pretty often, and every time I went, there was a time when every time I went there, I would tell myself, I'm never going back there. I'm never going back there. But then I did because it was close
Convenient.
to my office for lunch and everything. But like they would do things that I absolutely hated, like when you go through the drive-through and they'd stick your food out the window.
Oh, that makes me so mad. It's like, give me a chance to get up there. I'm over here with the pay guy.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even. They didn't even have like a 2-window thing. It was just like I would place my order at the microphone, and the pickup window was up there.
And a lot of them
And
did it, so it must have been a corporate thing. But it's so rude.
Yeah, I absolutely hated it. Here's my bag of my I would like get a salad or whatever, hanging out the window. It was like
Hurry up.
like the person, like the clerk is like, get up here and get your food. And they were the ones that, one time I went there and I was sitting in the dining room and it was off hours. It wasn't like at the lunch rush. It was like 1 o'clock or something. It was late. And I'm sitting there and I was like the only person in the dining room. And the manager was chewing out this other girl because she didn't tell the right person that they were out of lettuce in the they used to have a salad bar, and
Salad bar.
and she was
Nasty
saying
salad bar.
something about I don't know, but they were like arguing in the dining room. And I was like, there's a customer sitting here listening, and then like they would do things like I hated it. And then like one
kept
time,
going back.
Yeah.
Why'd you keep going back? I know.
The one thing I really got mad at was one time I had ordered whatever my lunch was, but I had ordered a Diet Coke, and
Oh yeah,
and
I remember this story.
And this Wendy's was on a very busy street, and you know, to get out of there you had to go. It was like it was uphill, so you had to pull uphill and onto this busy street. So it was just really hard and you turn left on the street to get out of there, you know, to go back to my office. And so I picked up my lunch, and before I got up on the busy street, I tasted my drink, and it was a regular Coke. So I was like, "Ugh." So I went all the way around, and you know, and I went inside, and I told them, I ordered a Diet Coke, and this is regular Coke, and the girl behind the counter goes, "Oh, you can't drink regular Coke?" And I'm like, "That's not what I ordered.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to you."
Oh, you can't do your job right?
Yeah, it's like, and as
What?
it just made me so mad. As it turned out, you know, like they gave me another drink, and it was a regular Coke. They had like crossed the lines or whatever, and you know.
One time I went to, it was a Carl's Jr. It was very strange. I never go to Carl's Jr., but we were on our way to the to fireworks, and we had gotten somehow a bunch of free sandwiches at Carl's Jr. or something. So we thought, oh, well, let's use those, and we'll take those with us to go see the fireworks. So we pulled up, and we had a different, you know, like a bunch of Cokes ordered, and some diet, some regular. And so we go to pay, and I guess it was this guy's first day, because there was somebody shadowing him right behind him. But he goes to hand us the drinks, and I said, are the diets, or I said, which one are the diets? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, well, isn't that your job? I said something like that, like, aren't you supposed to tell me which ones are which? And he turned to the guy who was training him and said, am I supposed to tell them which Cokes are which? Yes. Yes, well, darling, you're supposed to tell them which is which.
One time Beth, I think it was Beth, and I were in a grocery store. And we got in line, we were just chatting or whatever. It might have been you, Naomi. But we were just chatting or whatever, and we got in a line that had people in it and a person. And then it was at a grocery store. It was a cashier. People in line. And we just got in and we were chatting, and then the cashier finished with the person that was in front of us, and she said, this lane is closed. There's a sign right there. And we just said, oh, I'm sorry. And so we moved to a different line. And then we could hear her saying how stupid we were because we didn't see the sign.
Wasn't me.
I don't remember that either.
It was me and somebody else.
It must have been me.
So I finished my transaction, and then I found the manager, and I said, you need to tell your employees if they're going to talk about customers, they should make sure the customers can't hear them. Wow. Because honestly, she was still standing there. And so my dog saw somebody walk by the window right there, and she's
still getting over it.
Yeah. And another time, oh gosh, what was it? Oh, the other thing that bothers me is when you're like at a cashier and you're trying to do your transaction, and they're chatting away to another employee or somebody here and never look at you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never look at you.
Or how
They're
about
not
those two
talking
nurses,
to you.
Beth, when you were in the ICU and was it ICU or no? Yeah, it still was.
Oh, yeah.
And they were working on her, doing stuff or arranging her in bed or I don't know what, and they were just having a conversation about losing weight.
All about her
and,
husband's going the diet and blah, blah,
like,
blah.
Like,
blah.
Beth wasn't even there. Like, she was a sack of potatoes. I was so mad. And I did talk to the head nurse about that.
Yeah, and they were the ones just made me so mad when
Just left you on the...
left me on the little
commode seat.
toilet seat. Yeah, because at the time, I was very
walk.
I was
do
very
anything.
incapacitated, and so it was all I could do to get out of bed and use the little toilet seat thing, and so I was on there and I was like ringing the bell.
She had to ask for somebody to help her
Yeah.
there and help her back. She was not allowed to do, even if she thought she could do it, because she
they
was a
didn't
fall
want to,
risk.
But they wouldn't come.
And so I rang the little bell, to call the nurse.
This is
and
one of those
they didn't
things,
come, they
unless
didn't
you have
come.
an advocate with you in body at the hospital, you don't get any, you have to have somebody.
And and at first I just sat there and I thought, well, okay, they're busy or whatever, right? So I waited, and I didn't want to be a pest and keep ringing the bell, whatever.
Because your roommate was a pest.
Oh,
Well,
that was
this was before
that.
the roommate, the pesky roommate, yeah. But that's a whole other story. But anyway, so I sat there, and then after a while I rang the bell again, and they didn't come, and I sat on that toilet. I don't know how long.
It was like an hour.
Yeah, and the girl, not the head nurse person, but the assistant
The
girl
CNA.
came in and she said something about like, oh well, there has to be two people, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, okay, but
Comes under the
she
heading
still
of a
couldn't-
you problem, not a me
she
problem.
still didn't help me off, and then like I think that was the day that I transferred to the rehab unit. And so I think they were just waiting for me to go to the rehab unit.
I talked to the head nurse that day before you transferred, and I told them this is a problem. And I told them how they were talking in front of like ignoring you and how they left you that day and all that stuff. Remember that one day in ICU had that one really nice male nurse?
Oh yes,
He was so kind, so gentle.
That's the
so
thing.
helpful.
There are
and
some
I said,
nurses
"Are you
that
going to
are-
be here tomorrow?" He's like, "No, I'm on a different unit tomorrow." I was like, "Oh no."
he was. I remember like he would help me do stuff like, I had a salad, and I had a little packet of dressing, and
I always got you the wrong one.
but I couldn't open the packet, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
And he came and opened it for me and put
It was so sweet.
put it on my salad. And it just like
It's
just,
one of those
there was-
nurses that just stands
yeah.
out. Yeah.
And but it was while I was in the hospital that in the rehab unit where I had the horrible roommate that she complained about everything. She wouldn't eat the food at mealtime, and then like she would in the middle of the night she would want some a hamburger or something like that, and just she was just like and as a matter of fact, the nurses at one point
They got mad at her.
because whenever she had to go, she had to have, we were all fall risk patients or whatever, so there was like an alarm thing on your bed, so that if you got up out of bed without a nurse there to turn it off, the alarm would go off. But so she did that a couple of times. She got up without calling a nurse or whatever. But when she had to go, whenever she had to go to the bathroom or something like that, she would ring the bell for the nurse, but then the nurse, like on the intercom would say, can I help you? And she would just say,
She said, "I want to talk to my nurse."
Yeah.
So she would call the nurse about the fact that she needed a Sprite or or she didn't like this food, or she would call the nurse about everything.
Yeah.
And so they started. I remember once I was there, she rang the bell and they're like, "What do you need?" She's like, "I need to speak to my nurse." Okay, but what do you need?
Yeah.
What do you want? Because they were running to her every 5 seconds for nothing.
Well, at one time, I rang the bell because I had to go to the bathroom, and I think they thought it was her, and they didn't come, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, she drove you to the nurse's.
That's what I coined the phrase. It's a good thing I'm not dying, because I had to wait
But
for
the
everything,
thing is that nurses work so hard, and a good nurse completely makes your hospital stay.
And a bad nurse kills
And
you.
a bad nurse
Oh yeah.
You know, even if it's just a good nurse having a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
But there are some habits that people get into that they don't realize are unacceptable. Like Beth had a nurse that was a little too forward, conversation inappropriate, and
I had her fired.
yeah, she
Well,
was
not
making
only
making Beth
she-
uncomfortable.
So she was putting forward her personal and political agenda. Let's just say it that way. So we don't.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to offend anyone, but I don't care what your leanings are. You're here to be a nurse, and I don't care about any of that. So that was one thing that I thought was inappropriate. But then she shamed you for eating. They hadn't let her eat, and she was still recovering from surgery, and they. I remember they brought in the nurse, so she was I don't think she was a nurse. I don't think she was an RN. She was a CNA, I believe, that one. Because your RN came in and said, "Would you like some ice cream?" Remember?
Oh.
And you were like, "Sure." You don't remember any of this because you were so sick. But so there was Beth. It was probably like one of the only things you had eaten that day. It wasn't like you were tanking up on ice cream all day and that's all you would eat. The nurse, your RN, offered you ice cream. And then this
it was like
woman,
a little,
it was a little cup.
yeah.
And this woman came through, this CNA woman came through, and she said something. I don't remember exactly. But it was something to the effect of like, "Oh, well, you should be watching your calories," or something like that.
Oh.
And I'm like,
I don't remember that.
No way. Oh, yeah. I had her fired so fast. I called in the charge nurse, and I called in the floor.
Not fired from her job, but
Not
fired
from her
taking-
job, but
yeah.
fired from taking. And I said, "I don't want her in here anymore." And I spelled out the inappropriate comments, and then that sort of, fat shaming. Like, what are you doing?
Well,
like, you don't know what she's eaten today, and her RN gave it to her, and you don't have any. Why are you saying that? She's not in here on a nutritionist, watch or anything like that.
The one thing I didn't like was her. And I remember the one thing I do remember was before my surgery that she was trying to tell me because I had to take a shower and use this disinfectant stuff and whatever, and she was like telling me oh, don't put it here, and she was like touching herself.
Yes, that's
and
what
I was
I'm
like,
saying. And then also,
okay, I get it. You don't need to demonstrate for me.
You can say a word that like a medical term for the areas you're supposed to wash and not wash or whatever. But no, she's grabbing herself. I'm like, sorry if this is getting too graphic for y'all, but it was just annoying. And I'm like, I don't want her here. I told her RN, I guess, my sister's RN, and then they brought in the charge nurse, and I said, "This is not acceptable. I don't care about her, whatever her agenda is. She's here to tell me her agenda, and that's not what we need. And then you're not going to come in and tell my sister what she should or shouldn't be eating when the hospital itself gave it to her. Like, it's not like I brought in McDonald's or something. And even if I had, anyway. So I said, I don't want her in here anymore. And they're like, okay. And they went and they told her, you're not taking care of her anymore. And you know what she did? She came in to take your tray right after that. And she just walked in, took her tray, and left. And I think it was one of those things where, because I was like, I almost said, what are you doing in here? But I just looked at her, and she took the tray, and she left. And I thought I kind of had that imagination, like, I'm going to go get that tray just to see, like, what's going on in there. Or something, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or if I would yell at her or what. And I told the RN, I said, that woman came in here again after I said I didn't want her in here. I don't know why, just to check out the situation, I guess. But so this is why when my brother had his surgery on his foot, it was kind of an emergency thing. They told him one day, you're going to go tomorrow and have it done. So I flew out to Albuquerque, and he told me, I told the nurses, watch out, my sister's coming. Like, yep. Yeah. Because, you the thing is that you have to be your own advocate, or you have to have someone to advocate for you. And I think too many people are too accepting of whatever happens, and you don't have to be mean, but you have to stand up for yourself, and you have to be able to ask and have the courage to say, no, this is not acceptable, or I need a second opinion, or I want this, I want that, and be able to communicate well. And not everybody, I guess what I'm learning, not everybody has those skills, but
Yeah.
that's one of the skills. I guess I learned it with Eli when he was so sick as a little kid. I was abreast of everything they were doing. And so when they came to tell me they were going to give this medicine and that medicine, I said, what about medicine number 3? And they said, no, it's been discontinued. No. They were going to give the medicine number 3. And I said, no, that's been discontinued. And she's like, no, it's not. I don't see it on the chart. I said, she came in. She always tells me when she's discontinuing a med and when she's starting a new med, and that one was discontinued. And she's like, oh, I'll go check. And this was back in the days of paper and clipboards. And she said it was under the DC orders, was under the edge of the clipboard. She hadn't seen it. But if I hadn't been there to say no, if I'd have just said, oh, she's a nurse, she knows what she's talking about, so, and then another time they came to get Eli for, this was both of these incidents happened in Baltimore, but they came to get Eli for something, and we're like, we weren't told that was happening. And they look, oh, it was the kid across the room. So I'm like, and so that's why, and that was in Baltimore when you very first went in the hospital. And that's why when I got back to, the whole rest of the time, I was there.
Yeah.
And if I wasn't there, somebody was there. Especially because, he's little.
Choking on
he's
Coke.
not,
I'm sorry.
he's not talking about, he can't even talk to, doesn't understand what's going on. So, but at the same time, someone who is having brain surgery or sick also is like a little child.
Yeah.
Because they tell you when you get out of surgery, oh, everything went great, or this happened or that happened. You're drugged up. You don't even remember, taking your socks off right before surgery. So how are you going to remember what the doctor told you?
Yeah.
So, that's why I flew out to be with Tim, because, I wanted to find out what was going on exactly. I wanted to talk to the doctor afterward.
Let's just say that if you're having medical procedures, Naomi's the best one to have there.
But well, like when before my parents moved out here, and before I moved out here, they were in Albuquerque. Even Naomi were here in Phoenix. I was in Little Rock, and Tim, was in his own house in Albuquerque. And so it was like, whenever there was a medical issue, it was like, you'd hear things second or third hands because
I would call my parents, and my dad would just, not be able to articulate what the doctors would say. So I'm like, put the doctor on the phone.
Yeah.
And then one time my cousin Judy actually went to a diabetic coma. But I didn't know that until last year. Because when it happened, I called and I spoke to my aunt, who's very elderly, her mom, And I said, what happened? She's like, well, she wouldn't eat and she got weak. I'm like, okay, but what did the doctor say? What is going on? And this was in Albuquerque, and I was here, and I was climbing the roof because I knew it was serious. And even my own parents couldn't tell me what exactly happened. And I told my husband, I said, I feel like flying out there. I'm crawling the walls because I wanted to know what was happening to her. What was she facing? What were we, And it was a diabetic coma.
Because she had gotten the flu or something and couldn't.
Well, and I don't even remember exactly how it started. She told me the other day.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things of just, I think there's a thing of fear when someone is there with someone who's sick. You're afraid, and when you have fear, you stop being able to always think clearly. Because I understand it. You get really scared, and you don't understand everything they're saying, and you don't know what to ask, and you don't, like I would tell people, don't let a doctor leave the room unless you understand what they just said. Yeah. And what all the ramifications are, and what are all the possibilities. I drive my doctors crazy, but like my thyroid doctor, when I went in this last time, when I found out, I was actually waiting to find out if I had Graves, but I'd had because I went routine blood work. I went to see my PCP and primary care, and she's like, you need to get back to your endocrinologist. Your thyroid is dangerously high. And so I went the next day and got in and saw the nurse practitioner. And so she's like, we're going to do this blood work, and we'll see if it's Graves. Come back and see me. You're going to start on this med. See you in a month. So I came back. And so I came back with a bunch of questions. And I'm like, if it's Graves, this, that. If it's not Graves, this, that. Like, what is the plan? What are we gonna, you know? And now I go back on like the 24th, I think, and I'm like, I have a whole line of questions, and but you have to be knowledgeable about your own health, and you have to be willing to say, I don't understand what you just said.
Yeah.
Can you explain it to me again?
You're always yelling at me. Did you ask him this? Did you ask him that?
Dr. Jadav, my primary care, because of what I learned from you, that like when I first started seeing him, he was like, oh yeah, you really understand. So he talks to me, he knows that I understand what he means when he says, you have this and that, the other, condition, or we're going to do this medication or whatever. He knows that I'm not sitting there going, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
That.
Okay, so here's something that drives me crazy. When I go
mean.
to a doctor's office and the person who's writing down all my meds can't say the word carvedilol or, amiodarone.
The guy that was taking my medications when I took the ambulance for my knee.
Uh-huh.
He asked, are you allergic to any medications? And I listed the many that I'm allergic to, but I said NSAIDs, and he didn't know what that was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
it's weird. Okay, so that's funny. I when I 2 years ago, I wound up with atrial fibrillation, and in the hospital, and I went to the ER, and they put me in the hospital, and then they did all kinds of testing, and they told me that I had atrial fibrillation and that I was going to have an ablation done, and so that's how I got my great cardiologist and my electrophysiologist. He's the guy who does the electrician, right? And the cardiologist is the plumber. So his name was Dr. Idris, and he was part of a group and then started his own office right at that cusp, right when I met him. So I went to his office, and he was seeing patients in someone else's office, but it was his own practice. Like he was waiting, I don't know, to get an office. I don't know. But so I saw different nurses every time I went. And the one time, this one guy, like the first time, they didn't ask me my med list. And so when he came in to see me, I was like, they didn't ask for my meds. So then I hear him out in the hallway, you always have to ask for the meds. And so I was standing in the hall giving them after my appointment. So then I had the ablation done. And then I went back for a follow-up with him. And the guy, that was a different nurse, he brought me in and he's like, okay, what kind of device do you have? And I'm like, I don't have a pacemaker. I had an ablation for atrial fibrillation. Oh, okay. And blah, blah, blah. And so what kind of a device is it? I said, it's not a device. I had an ablation. An ablation is where they go in to your heart, like with a catheter, and they go up there and they burn certain areas of the electrical firings in your heart so that it stops the crazy fibrillation. They don't implant a device. You don't have a pacemaker. It's just they burn your heart and then that's it. But he asked me 2 or 3 times, and I said, do you know what an ablation is? Yes, I know what an ablation is, he says, real offended. And he was telling me, while he was babbling, he was telling me how, he's going to be a doctor, but he couldn't say carvedilol, and he couldn't say, I don't know, all the different meds I was on, glimepiride, whatever. He couldn't say any of those. He couldn't even read them. He couldn't look at the letters and figure out how to say carvedilol. It was so bizarre. And I'm like, okay, good luck with that. But good luck with being a doctor. But then I hear him ask Dr. Idris, because those doors you could hear, I hear him say, so there isn't a device with an ablation?
Oh, God.
Dr. Idris is like, no, there's no device. And then a little while later, I got a letter saying that he closed his practice.
Oh, my gosh.
That's how I found Dr. Fan, because they just referred us all to Dr. Fan. Yeah, I was like, yeah, he was a great doctor. Dr. Idris was a fantastic doctor. But yeah, his office staff.
He couldn't get qualified help.
I guess. I think they take, first they take nursing students before they hire people,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But that was quite funny. I'm like, do you even know what an ablation is? You're working in a heart rhythm, doctor place. But anyway, that was my adventure.
I remember one time with my anemia guy, the hematologist guy, that one time the nurse had, I guess, picked up the wrong file.
Oof.
They had somebody else's file, and Dr. Patel was looking at my numbers going, oh, looks really good, blah, 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 blah. And he goes, wait a minute. And he started looking through stuff because he didn't, I guess, he knew that what my history was. And so some of the stuff on there wasn't right. And he's like, he starts looking through because I guess it was the test results, because they would do you would go in and they would do a blood test, and then you would wait, and then you would go back and see the doctor when the little fast test they did was done. And so that was, so he would talk about it, and I had then I had another test that would wait a week later. I would find out how that one was. But so the initial tests, he would see the results right away, and that was he's like, oh yeah, it looks good, and he was looking through there, and then he realized you didn't look right, and so then he goes, wait a minute, and he found out that it was somebody else's chart, and he's just yelling at the nurse. I was like, I don't want to see that.
Oh my gosh,
that happened at Dr. Statler's office a while back. When you go in, they say,
It's podiatrist.
yeah, it's my podiatrist. They ask you, are you on the same meds? They usually say, are you on the same meds? But this girl said, are you still on this med? And she listed, and I was like, I've never taken that. I'm like, no, I stopped taking that a long time ago. And finally I said, are you sure that's my chart? And it wasn't.
Oh.
And she had changed some stuff in it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And she's like, oh no, I'm sorry. And fortunately that woman isn't there anymore.
Okay, that's dangerous. So guess what?
But
many years ago, I was...
Welcome to the medical portion.
Sorry, this is the medical portion. No, because there's so many stories. So I was... it was Christmas time, and we were planning to go to New Mexico for Christmas. And right before that, I had gotten sick. And I have asthma, not as bad as her, but where I feel it is I feel like a tightness right here in my trachea, I can't take a deep breath, and it hurts right here. But when you say it hurts right here, everybody hears chest pain. So I went to the ER because I think it was late and I couldn't take a deep breath, and I knew what I wanted was nebulizer medicine, and I didn't have any. Everything was expired. And so I went to the ER, and they heard chest pain, and they said, it must be your heart. And I'm like, well, it hurts right here. No, I went to the urgent care. They sent me to the hospital. And I'm like, but it hurts when I take a breath right here. But they're like, oh, well, this is chest pain. We don't want to mess with it. And they sent me to the hospital. In an ambulance, no less. And I get there, and I'm like, it hurts right here when I breathe. And they're like, oh, it must be your heart. So they started all these tests. And I think that's when they found out that I have a left bundle branch block, which my mother had. And, it's benign. But until they know it's benign, they freak out. So that's why they freaked out that day in the hospital. But I'm like, it hurts right here. So they did all this testing, and one of the things they do is this thing called the CT angiogram. And I knew what it was because my husband had it prior, and they found blockages that way. He wound up having the stents put in. So I knew what it was. You get a calcium score, and that calcium score tells you if you have any buildups in your arteries that the CT scan can see. And because a plaque will also then harden into a calcium deposit, okay? So that's why they score it that way. And a normal is 0, and then it goes up from there. So I'm in there, my husband's there, and we're waiting for the results of this CT angiogram. And I'm still like, it hurts right here when I breathe. And they come in and they said, your CT angiogram score was 300 something. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, we recommend a catheterization, to take a look at your arteries, and, and I was like, are you serious? I'm like, I asked the cardiologist, I'm like, what would you do if it was you, or your wife or whatever? And he's like, oh, I would have it done. It's like, okay. I was freaking out because I knew what it meant. It meant I had blockages. Mark's wasn't even that high, and he had three blockages, and one of them was in the Widowmaker. Like it was his was bad, and his score wasn't that high. And I'm sitting here thinking, oh my God, what's going on? And still, I'm like, it hurts right here when I breathe. So I go in. They do the catheter, but they do it through my wrist. Oh, instead of your groin. That was not happy. Anyway, so they go in. They're like, oh no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Like, okay. Messed up my trip to New Mexico. I had to go later, because I was not feeling great. And then, yeah, and I'm still like, but it hurts right here when I breathe. And I went home. So a little while later, I follow up with my regular doctor who gets, they get sent all the records from the hospital. And the nurse practitioner is there with me, and she's looking. She's like, oh, wow. I said, yeah, they said it was 300 something. And she's looking, and she goes, no. Your report's right here. You had a 0.
Oh my God.
So you had a needless test.
So not just a test, a procedure.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Well, I never got a bill for that hospital stay, by the way. Not one bill. And it was very funny because a little while later, and I had been having already, palpitations. I'd been seeing a different electrophysiologist, Dr. Sung, and I told him this story, and he's like, oh my gosh, are you going to sue them? I'm like, well, they didn't bill me, so I guess I won't. And he's like, did you ever get your asthma meds? I'm like, no. I went home with, it still hurts right here when I breathe.
But you know what? Because it was hurting there when you breathe, you were in more danger of them ignoring your asthma issue.
I know.
Yeah. Well, like when I went, they treated the asthma first, but they still were testing for the heart because I'm like, it really hurts my chest.
Yeah.
But when I went to the doctor for a follow up, she goes, "Does it hurt when I do this?" And I went, "Ow!" They never did that. And she goes, I think that's muscular from you trying to breathe.
Yeah.
Because I have pulled muscles in my chest.
Yeah. So that was the biggest, most incompetent thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Yeah.
Well, I remember
I couldn't believe that.
When I was a kid.
I should have sued them.
When I was a kid. When I was in college, I was a kid.
Compared
to now. Yeah. Robert's a kid. He was about that age.
Yeah. I was like all of 19. Something like that. I was a sophomore in college, and that's when I started having gallbladder problems, and I had gallbladder issues. Like this was like starting in November. September, October, something like that, at the beginning of the school year. So I knew what a gallbladder attack felt like, But then by February, I didn't know, but I had a gallstone stuck in the common duct that goes from your liver to your small intestine. Anyway, so so here it was February, and I had a concert, and I was getting ready for the concert. It was like Sunday night. I had this concert, and I was already dressed, and my family was getting dressed, and I just felt horrible, and I felt like I had a gallbladder pain, but it was like not right, and no, wait. I'm trying to think when this all happened. It was not.
He doesn't remember when it happened. It doesn't matter when it happened.
Right.
But I eventually went to the ER, and my mom said the magic words. My daughter has a pain in her chest, and the so they rushed me back, because they thought, of course, pain in the chest, heart attack, whatever. And so I guess at some point that, I don't know if they hooked me up to an EKG or something, I don't remember, but they determined that I was not having a heart attack, and so they they calmed down from that issue, and then and so then I guess the doctor came in, and he was asking me what had happened or whatever, and so I said I have this pain, but I said right here, and it feels like I swallowed a golf ball. And I said, it feels like a gallbladder pain, but it's in the wrong place. It's not in my upper right quadrant or whatever, like you usually have gallbladder, like under my shoulder blade, which is where I usually felt it. But it was right here, like I swallowed a golf ball. And anyway, so I said, it feels like a gallbladder pain, but it's in the wrong place. And he said, like, well, what makes you think it's a gallbladder pain? And I said, well, it feels like the same kind of pain that I used to have, but it's in the wrong place. And I don't remember him. I don't know. They must have taken my temperature, I guess, when I went in. But I don't remember. And but anyway, he said something about like, oh, well, you probably have an intestinal flu. And I was like, what? Why? What? And he gave me these suppositories.
Okay.
And
this is a case for where you needed advocacy, either by yourself or someone else, to say, that's baloney. I've had gallbladder for X. And so, people are afraid to argue with doctors.
Yeah.
But that's,
Yeah, and so things. I think, I didn't think it at the time, but looking back, I think it was the, treat it and street it kind of thing.
Or
I think they thought I was looking for drugs, yeah. I think he thought I was looking for some, pain meds or something, and so... the alternative was, give her a suppository, she won't,
Well,
instead of the opiates that she's looking for or whatever.
When Mom was first having those hip pains, she went from doctor to doctor to doctor. My knee hurts, my knee hurts, my knee hurts. And they would give her pain medicine, pat her on the head, and say, well, you're old, and push her out the door. And she was in agony. I came home one day, she's gripping the counters trying to walk around the kitchen because her knee hurt so badly. And I said, Mom, you're not talking to these doctors. I said, would you feel more comfortable with a female doctor? And she said yes. So I asked my doctor for a recommendation. It was the person she used until they left New Mexico. But she said, well, maybe it's not your knee. We're going to send you to an orthopedist. And he saw her walk. He said, walk down the hallway here for me. He watched her walk. He goes, well, your knee hurts because you need your hip needs replacing or something like that. It's your hip, not your knee. And they took x-rays, and she ended up getting a hip replacement. And she had been in so much pain that after the hip replacement surgery, she didn't need pain meds.
Yeah.
So, doctors that don't listen, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I mean, they were just giving her pain meds like candy. And she didn't need pain meds. Her knee didn't hurt for lack of pain meds.
Right.
Well,
but it's so hard because you're trained, or you assume that, they're there, they have a degree, they know what they're talking about. And if you don't put two and two together yourself, or you were young, and that was back in the day, but
well, and
before Google.
Yeah. When I went, so that was Sunday night that I had that concert and that pain and everything else, and I had gone to the emergency room, and then on Monday, I had
you went to see Dr. Davis, didn't you?
Yeah, I just can't remember how it went.
Anyway, it doesn't matter.
But anyway, but I told him what had happened, and I showed him the suppositories. He goes, "Yeah, don't take that." And he threw them in the trash. And it was like, yeah. So, and it was like, it was a matter of, like I said, that like the ER doctor had just made an assumption. And didn't run any tests.
If you had gotten some kind of, because she did have a gallstone stuck in her bile duct, and she wound up with all kinds of illnesses and
She was
everything.
very sick.
She was very sick, and and if
She lost like what,
Yeah.
50 pounds? I
it
mean,
was
a
awful.
lot.
It was awful, and he could be sued for that kind of thing, letting someone walk out the door with something so serious.
When I did have surgery, that's what it was. When I first got sick, I thought, I had a concert Sunday night, and I had this pain, but then by the end of the concert, but I had to go do the concert anyway. And, and by the end of the concert, the pain had disappeared, so I was like, well, whatever, and I remember Mom and Dad saying, asking me if I wanted to go to the emergency room, and I said, what am I going to tell them? I had a pain and now it's gone? No.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I had an appointment at Dr. Davis's office, and I assumed, I guess I was going to see the doctor, but it was actually for a blood test for something else. But so, that day, during the day, I didn't feel well, and I remember I went home. I mean, Eve took me to my aunt's apartment, and I just hung out there until I had rehearsal because we had a band concert. So I had rehearsal that afternoon, and I went in the morning.
Musicians don't miss their
no, you can't miss it.
they don't miss their practice. They don't miss their concerts.
So I went. So I had the blood test in the morning, and I just saw the phlebotomist guy, and then I had rehearsal, and then we did the concert, and I just kind of felt lousy. And the next day, I think I still felt sick. Oh, and I had that. I guess I had that pain again or something, because then I went to see Dr. Davis. No, they called. They called me and they said, "You need to come in, right away. You have hepatitis.
Oh.
Go home." And so that I was home for like 6 weeks or 5 weeks or something with hepatitis, and then I went back to school and learned Marriage of Figaro that week and had in dress rehearsals and did the performance that first weekend, had another week of school, did the performance second weekend, had that pain again, and that's when I went to the ER.
Oh, okay.
And went to see Dr. Davis the next day, and then I ended up in the hospital, and they ran a bunch of tests, and they found that gallstone stuck in the common duct. And he told me that my gallstone, my gallbladder, your gallbladder can burst like your appendix can. Mm-hmm. And that I was, this close to that happening. And if I had, done what the ER doctor said and whatever and just ignored it, that could have happened. Yeah. And I could have been, I could have gotten very sick. So, it was just like, it's one of those things where, you just like.
You go to the emergency room because you need, emergent diagnosis or help. Yeah. And so, see, nowadays, there's no way that I would have ever let anybody kind of tell anybody that kind of thing. Of course, now you have to go to the hospital by yourselves because of COVID.
Yeah, but you talk to my doctor on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're like, what? What are you talking about? No. And I'm like, no. That's what he said.
I know. Anyway. Well, we have... and one other medical thing. I had my toe poked this week, last Wednesday. So I've had years ago... I found out it was 2019. I had an ingrown toenail, and I had to go have it. And it hurt. But it's been sort of weird. And she's like, I could kill it, and it won't come back, probably. But if I don't kill it, it might come back. I said, no, don't kill it. I don't know why. I thought I was worried about the way my toe looked. Anyway, so this time I'm like, okay. So, it started to hurt again. It's hurt off and on. And it started to hurt last weekend. And Tuesday morning, I woke up early to take Hannah to the airport. And my foot was killing me. And I have this ingrown toenail, pain medication stuff, this goop you put on, and I tried that. I put that on, and then went to the airport, and it stung like crazy. I'm driving at 4 o'clock in the morning, like, like this, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go to the podiatrist and she can poke my toe right now because it'll feel better than this pain. And I'm like, I probably poisoned myself with this. I don't, because I thought maybe I shouldn't have put that gel on. I don't know. Da, da, da. So I and then I was supposed to go. By the time I got to the airport, it felt better. And then I was gonna go fishing with my dad and Eli and put my foot in a shoe, and it was kind of achy all day. So I got home from that, and I was like, I gotta call the podiatrist. So the next day I went in. But the worst part is,
no, the shots beforehand, yeah. And the shots take away the pain, but you can still feel.
Oh, I know.
What's going on.
So I've talked about my thyroid and Graves' disease. One of the side effects of hyperthyroid is anxiety, and I'm like, I'm in this dilemma. Like, do I tell them I have Graves' disease, my thyroid is still out of whack, I may have a panic attack on you? Or saying that, does that make me more prone to having a panic attack? And so I was like, okay, it's fine. And I kind of said that, and I kind of was starting to, and I'm like, just calm down. It's okay. I was trying to remember that pain I had Tuesday morning, like, this is worth it. You know what I mean? Like, so I made it through without freaking out. But afterwards, when she was done doing all the shots, I sat back and I was like, and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm just shaking. I'll get over it. But then when she was doing it, I thought, I'm going to throw up. Because it was like, you could feel, tugging it.
So afterward, when she came out with her boo-boo toe, I said, I'm going to buy you some ice cream.
And we went to have ice cream. And that was nice.
But ice cream is her favorite.
But it's been good. My toe,
good for what ails you.
it does. It doesn't hurt anymore. It's aching a little right now. I have to soak it twice a day, and I forgot this morning. Because I was busy. What did I do today?
You went to get your ring.
Well, that was in the afternoon. What did I do? Oh, I knitted, and I goofed around, and we went and washed Mark's car, which was in desperate need of washing. And then I went to get my ring back. I had taken it, I don't know, 2 weeks ago? A week ago? To get it cleaned.
It's very sparkly now.
It's very sparkly. So if you thought I was unmarried last week, it was just because this was in the shop. But anyway, I went and get it. No, it's just a funny story. So I'm pretty rough on everything, and somehow on the inside of this ring, I had gotten it wasn't bad, but it was like a kind of, you could feel a little divot out of the edge here, like I'd scratched it on something really bad. And so I took it. It's Shanco, and they have lifetime guarantee. It's so nice. They inspect it and clean it. If I lost a stone, they'd replace the stone with their warranty. But anyway, so I went in and I said to the lady, I said, I don't know how it happened, but I have a scratch right here. And I was going to say, and so I'm hoping they can fix that. But when I said that, she's like, well, it's metal and it's going to scratch. And I was like, well, I didn't think that rings didn't scratch. I said, I just wanted to fix it. Well, lady, rings, metal will scratch. I'm like, I know. Anyway, so when I picked it up today, I told the lady who gave it to me, I was like, I didn't mean there was something wrong with the ring. I just meant, she's like, you just wanted it fixed. I said, that's right. But yeah, they re-dipped it. And I took a picture. It's funny, I have on my phone, I took a picture of my face in the ring because it's so shiny. Look, you can see yourself.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so I did that today, and then I totally forgot to soak my toe. And I gotta go home and soak it. But I can't swim for a week. I called them. So.
You can't swim
that's a
next
drag.
week when it's 120 degrees.
Well, no.
Wednesday it'll be a week.
Wednesday will be a week. And Wednesday's supposed to be 118, what I saw. But then I saw 17.
Thursday's supposed to be hotter than Wednesday, I think.
Oh,
I don't know how you survive. But then my daughter goes back to Boston where it's only 80-something, but humidity. She was dying, no air conditioning in her apartment. And so I remember, I think I told you about that horrible experience in Western Massachusetts in the summer where I was just like... So I'm like, maybe humidity's worse. Plus I have good air conditioning.
See, and you used to gripe at me when I lived in Little Rock. and you
I
lived
never
here.
griped a day
You
in my
did.
life.
You did. But I would complain because it was like 90 degrees at 10 o'clock at night or whatever, and humidity was thick. And even with the air conditioner on, it was just.
Well, I told you I had a life lesson that day at Tanglewood in Massachusetts.
But you used to tell me, you can't say anything to me about the heat because it's blah blah blah.
I know, but I told you I have had. It was literally a come to Jesus moment where Jesus said to me, "Humidity is worse than Arizona. Be glad." And I have. I even wrote to my friend who lives in Massachusetts. I'm like, I will never again complain about Arizona heat because that humidity. I thought I was going to die. And everyone around me looked hot. I mean, like the conductor was, as we say in Yiddish, schwitzt. But everybody else looked sort of normal. I was like, I am having some kind of metabolic problem. This was many years ago before my thyroid was out of whack. But I've never been that hot. And I already told this story in a past episode, but it was like one of those things where I had a paper fan on me, and if I didn't have that fan going, like literally, as soon as I put my hand down, and I could feel it just dripping, and I'm like, I must look like a weirdo to all these other Western Massachusetts people because I was so hot. I've never been so hot, so I will never ever I will never say the humidity is not worse.
We packed up when I left Florida. Dad and I packed up at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was 99 degrees with humidity. And I packed up in that heat and went, I'm going to be so glad to be in 107 degrees and no humidity.
But
still,
let's not forget when you moved from Albuquerque to Phoenix.
Oh my God.
On my birthday.
Yes. And it was very hot. It was July.
Over 110.
And no air conditioning
and the air conditioning in her rental house was broken.
And I could not get a hold of anybody at the...
That should have been your first sign.
And the poor
cat
was...
No, you know what? The people that were managing it were great.
Yeah.
It was...
the owner.
It was the owner.
Yeah, but so they all... So it was... And we had this big truck full of all this stuff. And I don't think we even tried to move in that night. We all just piled in my tiny little house.
It wasn't night. It was...
Yeah, we got there in the evening, and because we just had to go eat dinner while you were trying to get a hold of somebody.
Mark got
the next day
super heated, and
that was the next day.
And Dad,
yeah,
I think that was the next day.
That was the next day.
But that night, your house was broiling.
Yeah,
and so we all crammed in. Dad's dog, your cat, your dog. And us and our...
And I had a big dog.
Yeah. And my little house where Rachel now lives is a little 2-bedroom townhome. We were all crammed in there.
On the floor like refugees on the floor, yeah.
And, but yeah, that was pretty bad.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad. And then, yeah, we wound up at Denny's on my birthday at night in the heat because she had no heat and...
No air conditioning.
No air conditioning. I mean, that's what I meant. She had no air conditioning.
So, yeah.
But it was the next day that Mark, The other thing is, in this kind of heat, it's very easy to overheat because your skin does dry and you don't always feel how much you're sweating.
Well, yeah, Eli went out. Her son and I went swimming in our pool yesterday, and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was about 109, 108. And he went out and just got in the pool, and I said, did you put on sunscreen? He's like, no. I said, get out of the pool. You're putting on sunscreen. Because I'm like, your mama will get so mad at me if you get sunburned. And I could feel my skin frying off.
You know what? This morning, I went to put the dog out. And usually, up until now, the mornings are nice, But I went to put the dog out, and she's so old and kind of, I'm not grumpy, but she doesn't... she doesn't have this desperation to go outside that she used to. Sometimes, I don't understand. But anyway, I have to coax her out with her pills and the bread. So I'm like, come on, let's go. She'll just stand there, and she will ask to go out. But in the mornings, for some reason, and I guess I'm very trained now. So anyway, I put her out, and so I tell her go outside, and she goes out, and then she turns around so I can give her treats, which is her pills, right? So I put my hand out like this, and it was like It was like, you know that movie, I Am Legend, where the zombies, if they're in the sun, they start to burn, right? It was like that. I put my hand out, and the sun hit my hand right here, and I'm like, it's 7 o'clock in the morning, and it is hot. The air, like I put my hand out like that, I could feel the heat of the sun already. I'm like, oh, Arizona.
When I lived in Little Rock, I played with the symphony, and I remember one time we went and it was hot in the hall, and and the guys wear tuxes. The women are a little more flexible. We can wear, as long as it's long black, 3/4 length sleeves and below the knee dresses, whatever, or you can wear pants or whatever. But our clothing is relatively flexible. The guys wore white tie and tails.
Ugh.
And so we went in there, and it was hot in the hall already. And of course we have the lights, like rotisserie chickens. We have these hot lights on us and everything. And the guys were like just, dripping sweat. And
when you play, you sweat anyway.
Yeah.
It's like
and
hard
so
work on your
so
body.
the conductor and the players committee or whatever, they made the decision that the guys could play without their jackets. So,
it's kind of archaic that that they have to wear them anyway in the first place. But it's fancy.
But then what it was that I guess the hall maintenance had turned on the blower, but didn't turn on the air conditioner itself or something. It was something crazy. It was so because you have to do it hours in advance to cool off the building. Yep. And whoever had done it wrong, and so
string them up.
You could tell that the thing was blowing, but it was like hot air. It was like, and I mean, and like I said, the women were relatively, we could just wear whatever, but we were sweating also, and it was just like
women don't sweat; they glow.
Yeah.
No, that's like when that happens in your vehicle in Phoenix, then you will die.
Oh yeah.
We've been talking a long time.
Oh my God. About everything from I don't know, medical malpractice.
I always have to go home and watch it and think, what do we talk about? A lot of stuff. But
once upon a time we talked about cross stitching and
and knitting too.
Yeah.
But I got a couple of rows done, which is good. Or I got a couple of I'm almost done with another purl row, so that's fun. But anyway, we've been happy to be here crafting with you and chatting about all of our medical craziness and all kinds of other craziness. And
I've been dealing with the frog over here.
Yeah.
But.
And Eva's over there concentrating on booties. How's it going? You got your little foot done?
I was looking to see if it was anywhere close, and I'm like, I might have to take it out and put it back. Because I didn't do the 10 double crochet right away.
In the corner?
Yeah, I double crocheted along the chain, and I should have done 10 first, and now it's like too long.
Oh. Well, it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve.
But this section here is about the correct height width.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
So, and this looks good, but this one on the end is really. I'm gonna have to do it again, but.
Well,
I'll just cut it off and start again.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good to be back with you guys, and make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications, and
Tell everyone you know.
tell everyone you know.
That
And
it's fun to watch
take a
us
look at our
talk about
Etsy shop,
stuff.
because you better buy these, because I might have to buy one, because it's so cute. I love this. It'd be so fun to take that to the
all
mountains.
the patterns that we bought are so
They're adorable.
cute. And
This is me right now. I did take a fly fishing class, and I'm so enamored, and all I do is dream about fly fishing trips, going somewhere. Anyway, so now this is like my dream. Anyway, that's me. I'm crazy. Shiny new things, as Beth said. Well, thanks for joining us, and we will see you next week. Say goodbye, Evie.
Bye.
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 I am going to cut this off and do it again.
Okay. Bye. See you next week.
Bye.